everyone, and thank you for tuning in to the NASA SpaceX Crew 7 mission, a long-duration rotational mission to the International Space Station for NASA astronauts Jasmine Moghbeli, Andreas Mogeson, Satoshi Furukawa, and Konstantin Borisov. I'm Jesse Anderson, and I'm an Integration and Test Engineering Manager here at SpaceX, and I am joined by NASA's Leah Cheshire. We are just under a couple hours away from the final approach and docking of Dragon to the International Space Station.
50 minutes after launch at 1:15 a.m. Pacific, Dragon executed the phase burn. This is the first of 5 major burns required to raise Dragon's orbit and position it for approach to the International Space Station. Dragon raised its orbit using the Draco thrusters over the last several hours as it chased down the space station.
And just a few hours ago, the boost burn took place at 10:01 p.m. Pacific time. The boost burn put our crew in an orbit where Dragon's apogee, or the highest point, will be 10 kilometers lower than the station. After that, we executed the close co-elliptic burn at 10:45 p.m. Pacific time. The close burn placed Dragon on an orbit roughly co-elliptic with the space station, meaning it was maintaining an orbit roughly 10 kilometers lower than the station the entire way around the Earth. That's in contrast to only being 10 kilometers lower than the station during Dragon's apogee, or the highest point in its orbit, which is achieved by the boost burn.
From there, at 11:54 p.m. Pacific, we executed the 4th major maneuver known as the transfer burn. This is where we raised Dragon's apogee, the highest point of its orbit, to just 2.5 kilometers lower than the station. Then we rounded everything out with a final co-elliptic burn at 12:41 a.m. Pacific to once again maintain a constant orbit lower than the station, this time just that 2.5 kilometers below. This is a shorter burn lasting just over 30 seconds. So now we are getting into the approach initiation and final stages of Dragon's rendezvous with the space station. This is also when we start those integrated operations between the Dragon control team here in Hawthorne and the space station flight controllers in Mission Control Houston. You've got them both right there. These teams
400 meters below station, it will be at what is known as Waypoint 0 and will be the first checkpoint during our approach. The vehicle can hold here at 400 meters, but if all of its systems check out, it can just continue to approach to Waypoint 1.
Dragon's move from Waypoint 0 to Waypoint 1 will swing it up and out in front of the station. That puts it at a distance of about 220 meters. We're going to be actually going to the top of the station today. It'll be put on the docking axis. That means it's essentially directly in front of the docking port. So the crew is headed to the Node 2 Zenith port today. Dragon has docked to Node 2 for all of the crewed missions so far. That's where both of our international docking adapters are located. They are installed for these commercial spacecraft flights, of course, as well as any other future spacecraft that use the international docking standard.
Once Dragon is only 20 meters away at Waypoint 2, the spacecraft focuses on aligning its docking system with the international docking adapter. We may hear the call-out CHOP, which stands for Crew Hands-Off Point, a little less than 30 seconds before docking. At this point, any aborts will have to be done automatically by Dragon.
Of course, then we are looking forward to the grand arrival when our crew docks to the space station. Dragon will fly in and make contact with the IDA, giving us what we call soft capture. The soft capture ring will retract until sensors indicate it's time for 12 hooks to drive in place and give us the hard capture that will firmly secure Dragon to its new home on the space station. The station crew, namely NASA astronaut Woody Hoburg, will manually pressurize the vestibule. That's the area between the Dragon hatch and the station hatch. Meanwhile, umbilicals that provide power, audio, and data connections from Dragon to the station are put in place. We may not have views during that point as it prepares to dock, at least not from the closest camera, but we will have confirmation.
And Dragon SpaceX on the big loop, we had a nominal mid-course correction, and the trajectory has converged on Waypoint 0. Expect Waypoint 0 arrival at 1217 Zulu.
SpaceX, Dragon copies all, and copy 1217.
Great news. We had confirmation that the mid-course maneuver is complete and that we are on track to Waypoint 0 at the 5:17 a.m. Pacific time.
Right now. That's pilot and commander Commander Jasmine Mobelli and pilot Andreas Mogensen, just monitoring the spacecraft's progress.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop. Ground has pulled go for approach 0 and 1 and will enable the maneuver shortly.
SpaceX Dragon copies go for approach 0 and 1.
And those words confirming that we are good to continue the approach to the International Space Station, and we'll pass through Waypoint 0. Again, we expect that Waypoint 0 mark to come at about 5:17 a.m. Pacific, so about 12 minutes from now. Again, they will not pause there. They will go to pass through to Waypoint 1. That's about 220 meters away from the International Space Station. This view again from inside Dragon, crew monitoring as Dragon flies autonomously to the International Space Station, continuing to get closer and closer. That approach initiation burn brought us up about 400 meters directly below the station. We are now about 686 meters from the station, or about 0.4 miles. So getting closer and closer, again, looking for docking at 9:05 a.m. Eastern, 6:05 a.m. Pacific, so almost exactly an hour from now. Being that they will pass through, will not stop at Waypoint 0, less than 8 minutes from now.
And on your screen is a pretty cool view from the International Space Station looking at Dragon. You could see the nose cone deployed, and you can also see some of the thrusters. They're using the Draco thrusters to maneuver Dragon towards the International Space Station. You can see Earth in the background.
Yeah, right now they are flying over Saskatchewan, so south of Saskatoon. That's the view below Dragon there. And then Dragon's view of the International Space Station. So if you're in that area, go take a look up. You might spot our crew members. Arrived. This view from another camera on the International Space Station. Again, this station right now is about 262 statute miles over Earth, actually flying over Ontario at this point. It's moving pretty fast. You know, just a couple minutes ago, it was flying over Washington State. We're now all the way over Ontario, so 17,500 miles an hour. That is about 5 miles per second. Quite speedy.
And speed is relative, so it doesn't look that fast on your screen, but that is very, very fast.
Recovery ship. So, we just got confirmation. We have arrived at Waypoint 0. We are converging trajectory on Waypoint 1. So again, things continuing to move smoothly. We'll start to get a different view of the International Space Station as we're going to be going to the zenith port. So we're going to be going directly above it. We'll be looking down on the space station. So that view we have right now of the space station looking down on Dragon, it'll be flip-flopped. So Dragon will be looking down on the space station and see Earth below that.
SpaceX on the big loop. Approach 0 has started and the trajectory has converged on Waypoint 1. Expect arrival at Waypoint 1 around 1259er UTC.
SpaceX Dragon copies on the big loop, arrival at Waypoint 1 at 1259er.
From the International Space Station, looking.
Yeah, if you look closely, there's Dragon in the center there. Again, our Cronus flight controller tracking these views for us in Mission Control Houston.
Thank you, Cronus. And as a reminder, as Dragon approached Waypoint 0, was directly under the International Space Station. As it moves to Waypoint 1, it's actually going to swing up and align itself with the space station. So you no longer will be looking down from the space station and have that view of Earth in the background, because it will be aligned with the docking port, which is the zenith port today. It's the space-facing side of the International Space Station.
Soon, Dragon will be looking directly down on the International Space Station with the Earth below it. Looks like right now they are flying off the west coast of Senegal, about 260 statute miles above Earth. So if you're tracking, that's an almost 30-hour ride to orbit. The crew are suited up now. They are in their seats. They have not had to do so during the flight. And we just got a really cool view of one of those Draco thrusters firing, helping us fine-tune our approach to the space station. Our 4 crew members arriving today: Jasmine Mogbelli, Andreas Mogensen, Satoshi Furukawa, and Konstantin Borisov. Yeah, this is another view from the International Space Station. You can see one of the robotic arms on the left, and close to center of your screen, that is Dragon. And that robotic arm is attached to the Japan exposed facility, so we are able to put some of our experiments outside in the vacuum of space. Just a couple of minutes. Again, we're tracking
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop. Approach 1 and soft capture ring extension will begin shortly, and then expect Dragon to continue approach to Waypoint 2.
SpaceX, Dragon, copies all.
Konstantin Borisov of Roscosmos.
Station, Houston on the big loop.
Houston Station with you on the big loop.
Okay, Woody, we're ready for you to monitor approach per step 3 of 1.102 Dragon approach and retreat monitoring. Let us know when your review is complete and you are ready for docking.
Amy, I copy. Monitor approach per step 3. Review of steps 5 and 6 is complete, and ISS is ready for docking. Welcome, Crew 7.
Matches on Dragon and Space Station.
And
This
Dragon
was exposed
SpaceX
to
on the big
vacuum
loop.
prior to
Ground
docking.
has pulled go for approach 2. Please confirm visors are down and that you are ready for docking.
SpaceX, Dragon, copies on the big loop, go, and all 4 crew members have visors down. We are ready.
Excellent news, Dragon. Ground is going to be enabling approach shortly, and a reminder that after the crew hands-off point, retreat and breakout are not permitted.
And there you can see on your screen, this is a view from Dragon approaching the International Space Station. You can see how close it is. You can begin to see those details on the station. And looking straight ahead in the center of your screen was the international docking adapter.
And this view from inside Dragon Endurance itself. So these are our 4 crew members. You can only see the commander and pilot right now, Jasmine Mogbelli and Andreas Mogensen, just monitoring the approach on those crew display panels. Again, they are not making commands at this point. Additionally, at that 2 meters away from the space station, we hear the chop call, at which point they should not send any commands. Right now, we are at 23 meters from the space station, continuing to close in on that zenith port of Node 2. Down toward the bottom of your screen, you can see the nose cone of Dragon Endeavour, which brought the Crew 6 astronauts to the International Space Station. So we're expecting to hear the call for Waypoint 2 shortly, where we will do a brief pause before moving in towards the docking port. And it looks like we have reached that 20-meter Waypoint 2 mark.
Station, Houston on the big loop. Dragon is on final approach and is go for docking. Monitor per steps 5 and 6 in 1.102 Dragon approach and retreat monitoring.
Houston station copies all.
All right, confirmation from Amy Dill, the Capcom in Mission Control Houston, to the crew that they are moving in for docking. So we are now 16 meters away from the International Space Station. Again, continuing slowly into the Node 2 Zenith port for docking today.
Dragon docking with the International Space Station. First will be a soft capture, and then there will be 12 hooks deploying 6 at a time to create that hard capture between the vehicle and the station.
Dragon now just 7 meters away, now 6 meters away from the Node 2 port.
5 meters.
Copy 5.
That call coming from Dragon Commander Jasmine Mogbelli, her first space flight to the International Space Station. Standing by for the call of crew hands-off point, or CHOP.
Copy CHOP.
One meter.
And Dragon, we see soft capture complete, and attenuation will begin shortly.
I can copy.
And Dragon, ring retraction is complete. The docking sequence is holding for MCS reconfiguration.
Dragon copies.
This morning, here's your view inside Dragon Endurance right now over the shoulder of our commander, Jasmine Mogbelli, and pilot, Andreas Mogensen. It was Mogbelli's first trip to the International Space Station and Mogensen's second. This is also Konstantin Borisov's first trip to the International Space Station. And Satoshi Furukawa is returning as well. So he is the most experienced on this crew when it comes to days in space. I believe he has 165 days from previous missions.
And on the big loop, hard capture is complete. Dragon, you are go to raise visors.
Dragon copies, raising visors.
Well as of hard capture.
And on the big loop, docking sequence is complete. Dragon, welcome, Vilkom, Yokoso, Dobro Aza Lovat to the International Space Station.
ISS from Dragon on the big loop. Thank you so much. I have to keep reminding myself this is not just a dream. Thank you to the entire SpaceX team, to those who worked on the Falcon 9, on our Dragon, and even on preparing us, especially our training lead, Paul Weiss. We had to keep reminding ourselves that when we open that hatch, we're not walking out into the training center. I'll hand it over to Andy for a few words.
Yeah, I want to thank everyone at SpaceX as well, including everyone at our respective partner agencies for getting us this far. You know, this is the first step of the journey. The real mission begins now on board the International Space Station. We have a lot of exciting work ahead of us that we look forward to. And thank you to everyone at our agencies for preparing us. We look forward to getting ready.
This is Satoshi. It was just like a training session in Hawthorne, California, and I'd like to express my appreciation to NASA, ESA, CSA, Roscosmos, JAXA, and especially SpaceX for flying us safely to the International Space Station. Thank you.
Thanks all. It was exciting. Like my friend said, it was really, really close to what we have experienced during the training. We just had to remind ourselves that it's happening for real. Very excited, very happy to be on ISS. Looking forward to opening that hatch. Thanks all the agencies. Thanks Paul. Thanks the team. We're really excited to be here. Thanks SpaceX for this marvelous vehicle. Thanks.
SpaceX on the Big Loop, on behalf of SpaceX, we want to thank you for training with us, and it's been an honor and privilege to bring you to the station today. Ground will be enabling our hardline power and communication connections. You are go to DOF suits per 4.012, and we're going to be taking cameras external.
SpaceX Dragon copies all. We'll step into 4.012 suit docking and audio configuration.
And Station Houston on 2 for Woody, you have a go in step 2.2. Your go to perform initial IDA Dragon vestibule pressurization for leak check.
All right, Amy, copy go in 2.2. Thanks.
Dragon Houston on the Big Loop, standby for hardline audio config.
And you're looking at a view inside the International Space Station. And this is a view from outside the International Space Station of Crew Dragon Endurance docked to the orbital outpost. Inside are 4 human beings: NASA astronaut Jasmine Mogbelli, ESA astronaut Andy Mogensen, JAXA astronaut Satoshi Furukawa, and Roscosmos cosmonaut Konstantin Borisov. And we are getting a view of NASA astronaut Woody Hoberg as he continues to step through those hatch opening procedures. Hoberg was working to install some padding on the APAS hatch to help outfit it to protect it. And that APAS hatch now open. Oxide cartridges that scrubbed carbon dioxide inside the Dragon capsule on the ride to the International Space Station. The crew will also check some vent valves as well, so it may just be... And we are getting views back inside Crew Dragon Endurance of Crew 7. First time since they've docked to the International Space Station. Great to see them on board. May just be a little bit more time until we do welcome them on board as they continue those preparations, but these last final checks are critical to make sure everything is good to go, since it will remain docked to the International Space Station for the next 6 months. And first through the hatch is the commander of Crew 7, Jasmine Mogbelli, her first time on board the International Space Station. Next up we have Andy Mogensen, ESA astronaut. This is his second space flight. And coming through the hatch now is JAXA astronaut Satoshi Furukawa. This is his second mission to space as well. And next through the hatch is Konstantin Borisov of Roscosmos, his first time on board the International Space Station as well. And with that, Crew 7 is successfully on board the International Space Station, their home for the next 6 months.